First contact. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge of the TSS Thunderchild, watching the endless expanse of stars through the main viewport. The ship was humanity's latest achievement, a vessel built with technology that pushed the boundaries of human understanding. Only a select few knew its true capabilities, and even fewer understood the experimental systems integrated throughout its design. Status report. Alina called, her voice calm despite the tension running through her body. This was their first deep space patrol beyond the Sol system's protective boundary. All systems nominal, Captain, responded Commander Darren Chen from the operations console. We're approaching the edge of the Kuiper Belt as scheduled. Alina nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the distant stars. At 43, she had spent more than half her life in space, but this mission felt different. Humanity had been expanding rapidly, establishing colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. The Thunderchild represented Earth's first serious attempt at creating a ship capable of reaching neighboring star systems efficiently. Dr. Yamamoto, how's our experimental drive holding up? Alina asked, turning to the ship's lead scientist. Himari Yamamoto looked up from her station with a slight frown. The quantum displacement field is stable, but I'm detecting some unusual fluctuations in the surrounding space-time fabric. Could it be interference from our drive? Alina asked. I don't think so. Himari adjusted her glasses. These readings suggest external disturbances, not something generated by our systems. Before Alina could respond, Lieutenant Maya Santos at Communications suddenly stiffened. Captain, I'm picking up something. It's not on any standard frequency we use. What kind of something, Lieutenant? It's... Maya's fingers flew across her console. It's structured, definitely artificial, but unlike anything in our database, and it's coming from beyond the belt, approaching our position. Alina felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had always debated whether they were alone in the universe. Many believed the emptiness of space and the vastness of interstellar distances meant other civilizations either didn't exist or were too far away to encounter. Now, that question might finally have an answer. Put us on yellow alert, Alina commanded. Dr. Yamamoto, divert additional power to sensors. I want to know what we're dealing with. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency as the ship's lighting shifted to a subtle amber glow. On the main display, sensor readings began to form a picture of what lay beyond the Kuiper Belt. Captain, Himari's voice was barely above a whisper. I'm detecting multiple objects moving in formation, hundreds of them. The bridge fell silent as the display rendered a visual approximation based on the sensor data. What they saw stunned everyone. A vast fleet of ships, moving with perfect synchronization, their formation so precise it seemed impossible. Are they alien? Commander Chen asked, breaking the silence. Unless Earth has secretly built an armada we don't know about, Alina replied grimly. Lieutenant Santos, any success decoding their transmissions? Working on it, Captain, Maya responded, her dark skin glistening with sweat despite the bridge's climate control. The patterns are complex, mathematical, but definitely a language of some kind. They're on an intercept course with the Sol system. The tactical officer, Lieutenant Kowalski, reported. At their current speed, they'll reach Earth in approximately 5 days. Alina straightened her uniform jacket. Open a channel on all frequencies. Lieutenant Santos, let's try to communicate. For the next hour, Maya transmitted every known greeting protocol. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, simple pictorial representations, anything that might establish contact with the approaching fleet. There was no response. Then, without warning, the sensor array lit up with energy readings. Energy spike. Kowalski shouted. 3 vessels have broken formation and are accelerating toward our position. Evasive maneuvers, Alina ordered, gripping the arms of her command chair as the Thunderchild pivoted sharply. Tactical analysis. The approaching vessels are approximately 1/4 our size, Kowalski reported. Energy signatures suggest advanced propulsion, and weapons systems powering up. Alina's mind raced. First contact with an alien civilization was supposed to be humanity's greatest moment. A careful, diplomatic exchange. Not whatever this was turning into. "Captain," Maya called out urgently. "I'm receiving a transmission. It's being broadcast on all frequencies." "Let's hear it," Alina ordered. The bridge speakers crackled before a strange, multi-layered voice filled the room. It spoke in perfect English, but with an unnatural cadence, as if multiple entities were speaking in perfect unison. "Attention, human vessel. You have been detected. Your species has been designated aberration. Your chaotic nature presents unacceptable deviation from universal harmony. Surrender for processing or be eliminated." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. "That doesn't sound like an invitation to dinner," Commander Chen muttered. "They're targeting us." Kowalski shouted as the tactical display lit up with warning indicators. The Thunderchild shuddered violently as energy beams struck its shields. The lights flickered momentarily before stabilizing. "Shields holding at 87%, Chen reported. "Return fire," Alina commanded. "Targeted disabling shots only. I don't want to escalate this further if we can avoid it." The Thunderchild's defense systems responded, firing precisely calculated energy pulses at the approaching alien vessels. The shots connected with the lid ship, but seemed to dissipate across its hull with minimal effect. "Their hull is absorbing our standard weapons," Kowalski reported in disbelief. The aliens fired again, this time with greater intensity. The Thunderchild rocked under the impact. "Shields at 63%, Chen called out. "Whatever they're using, it's cutting through our defenses faster than expected." Alina made a quick decision. "Deploy countermeasures and prepare the quantum torpedoes." Commander Chen looked up sharply. "Captain, those are still experimental. We're fighting an unknown enemy with technology we barely understand." Alina cut him off. "This is exactly why we have experimental weapons." As Chen prepared the torpedoes, Alina opened a channel to engineering. "Chief Engineer Parker, I need everything you've got. Divert power from non-essential systems to shields and weapons." "Already on it, Captain," came the reply. "But I should warn you, the new systems weren't meant to be pushed this hard during their first deployment." "Noted, Chief. Do what you can." The alien vessels were now surrounding the Thunderchild, their movements coordinated with impossible precision. They seemed to anticipate every evasive maneuver Alina ordered. "Fire torpedoes," Alina commanded. 2 quantum torpedoes launched from the Thunderchild's weapon bays, their trajectories unpredictable as they utilized quantum uncertainty principles to evade defensive systems. One missed entirely, but the second struck its target. The alien vessel shuddered, its perfect formation briefly disrupted. "Direct hit," Kowalski exclaimed. "Their shields are down." But the celebration was short-lived. The damaged alien vessel quickly rejoined formation, and the other 2 adjusted their attack pattern. "Captain," Himari called out, her voice urgent. "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns between the alien ships. They're not just communicating. They're sharing energy, redistributing shields, compensating for damage." Alina watched the tactical display with growing concern. They're functioning as a single organism rather than individual ships. Another barrage hit the Thunderchild, more powerful than before. Warning alarms blared throughout the bridge as multiple systems reported damage. "Shields down to 28%, Chen reported grimly. "Hull breaches on decks 4 and 5. Emergency containment fields engaged." Alina knew they couldn't win this fight. Not here, not now, not alone against an enemy they didn't understand. "Plot an emergency jump back to Earth," she ordered. "We need to warn them about what's coming. The quantum drive needs 3 minutes to recharge after our last jump," Chen replied. "Then buy us 3 minutes," Alina said firmly. "Divert all remaining power to engines and shields. Evasive pattern Delta 7. As the Thunderchild twisted and turned through space, desperately evading the alien attacks, Alina opened a secure channel to Earth Command. This is Captain Alina Reyes of the TSS Thunderchild. First contact established with hostile alien fleet. Approaching Sol system. Heavily armed and technologically advanced. Request immediate military alert and preparation for defensive operations. Transmitting all sensor data now. The response was immediate but fragmented by interference from the alien weapons. Captain Reyes. Confirm. Hostile aliens. Not a drill. Confirmed. Alina replied as another hit rocked the ship. This is not a drill. Preparing to return to Earth, but be advised, we are facing a massive armada with technology beyond our current capabilities. They call themselves the Swarm. Quantum drive ready in 60 seconds, Chen announced. Alina turned to Himari. Doctor, what have you learned about their ships? Any weaknesses? Himari's fingers flew across her console. Their coordination is perfect, too perfect. It suggests some kind of hive mind or centralized control system. Each ship seems to function as a node in a larger network. That information might prove valuable, Alina thought, if they could disrupt that network somehow. Drive ready, Captain, Chen called out. Get us out of here, Alina ordered. The Thunderchild's quantum drive engaged, creating a localized distortion in space-time. The stars blurred as the ship accelerated beyond conventional physics, leaving the alien vessels behind, but only temporarily. As the Thunderchild raced back toward Earth, Alina stared at the tactical display, showing the massive alien fleet continuing its approach to humanity's home. They had 5 days to prepare for an enemy unlike anything humans had ever faced. They may have better technology and superior numbers, Alina said quietly to her bridge crew. But they've never faced humans before. And if there's one thing we're good at, it's surviving against impossible odds. For the first time since the encounter began, a flicker of hope appeared on the faces around her. They had survived first contact. Now they had to make sure humanity survived what came next. The desperate plan. The Thunderchild limped into Earth orbit 30 hours after its desperate escape from the alien fleet. The ship's hull bore the scars of battle, scorched metal plates, exposed circuitry, and emergency repair patches applied hastily during their journey home. On the bridge, Captain Alina Reyes stood before the main view screen, watching as Earth's orbital defense platforms came into view. Impressive as they were, Alina knew they would barely slow down what was coming. Docking clearance received, Captain, reported Lieutenant Santos. Emergency priority. Space Force Command is requesting your immediate presence for debriefing. Acknowledged, Alina replied, her voice tight with exhaustion. None of the bridge crew had slept more than a few hours since their encounter with the aliens. Commander Chen, you have the bridge. Oversee emergency repairs and make sure Dr. Yamamoto gets all the resources she needs to analyze our sensor data. Yes, Captain, Chen nodded. What should I tell the crew? Alina looked around at the tired faces of her bridge officers, some showing fear, others determination, all awaiting her guidance. Tell them they performed admirably during humanity's first contact with an alien civilization, she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. And that I expect them to continue doing so, because the real fight hasn't even begun. 3 hours later, Alina found herself in a secured conference room deep within Space Force headquarters in Geneva. The room was filled with the highest-ranking military and civilian leaders on Earth, their faces grim as they reviewed the Thunderchild's sensor logs for the 3rd time. This can't be happening, murmured General Santiago, the weathered commander of Earth's combined defense forces. An alien armada just appears out of nowhere, headed straight for us. They didn't appear from nowhere, General, Alina corrected. Our deep space detection network simply isn't advanced enough to have spotted them earlier. We got lucky that the Thunderchild was on its test run at the edge of the system. Lucky, the Secretary-General of the United Nations, Adebayo, raised an eyebrow. Captain, your ship barely made it back in one piece, and you're telling us thousands more of these vessels are headed our way. Yes, sir, Alina replied firmly. Based on our projections, we have approximately 3 days before the main fleet reaches Earth orbit. And what are we supposed to do against technology this advanced? Asked Admiral Wong, her normally composed demeanor slipping. You said your weapons barely damaged one of their smaller vessels. Conventional weapons won't win this fight, Elena agreed, but there may be another way. The room fell silent as Elena stepped forward to the holographic display. Dr. Yamamoto and I have been analyzing the sensor data continuously since our encounter, she explained, manipulating the display to show energy pattern analyses of the alien ships. The swarm isn't just a fleet. It's a single entity operating through thousands of vessels. They share information, energy, even tactical decisions through some kind of quantum-entangled network. She brought up footage showing how the damaged alien vessel had quickly recovered after being hit by the quantum torpedo. See here, when we damaged one ship, the others immediately redirected energy to repair it. They don't just coordinate, they function as a collective consciousness. Fascinating xenobiology, General Santiago said dryly. But how does this help us fight them? Elena zoomed in on one particular energy signature. This is what we believe to be their communication frequency. It operates on principles similar to our quantum entanglement experiments, but far more advanced. It's how they maintain perfect coordination across vast distances. She straightened up, looking each leader in the eye before continuing. What if we could disrupt this network? Force them to operate as individuals rather than a collective? Is that possible? Adebayo leaned forward with interest. Theoretically, Elena replied. The Thunderchild carries an experimental quantum field generator designed to enhance communications across vast distances. With modifications, we might be able to reverse its function, create interference in the exact frequency they use to communicate. Might. Admiral Wong caught the qualification. That's not much to bet humanity's survival on, Captain. It's more than we had an hour ago, Elena countered. And there's something else. During our brief engagement, we noticed a momentary disruption in their formation when they encountered the quantum wake from our drive. It was subtle, but distinct. Something about our technology interferes with theirs. Dr. Himari Yamamoto, who had been silently observing from the corner of the room, stepped forward. The swarm operates on principles of perfect order and synchronization. Their ships move with mathematical precision. Our quantum technology, however, utilizes uncertainty principles, controlled chaos, essentially. Their order, we're chaos, Elena simplified. And chaos disrupts order. General Santiago rubbed his chin thoughtfully. So what exactly are you proposing, Captain? A targeted strike, Elena replied, bringing up a tactical display. Not against their ships, but against their network. The Thunderchild can get close enough to deploy a modified quantum field that would disrupt their communications. Without their hive mind, they become just ships, advanced, yes, but no longer a perfect collective. One ship against thousands. Admiral Wong shook her head. It's suicide. Not if we give them something else to focus on, Elena argued. We need a diversion, something big enough to draw their attention while the Thunderchild approaches their fleet center. The room erupted in debate as military commanders argued tactics and politicians demanded guarantees that Elena couldn't provide. After nearly an hour of heated discussion, General Santiago raised his hand for silence. Captain Reyes, he said gravely, you're asking us to bet everything on an untested theory with experimental technology, implemented by a damaged ship. Yes, sir, Elena replied without hesitation. Because the alternative is watching Earth fall to an enemy we can't defeat through conventional warfare. The general held her gaze for a long moment before turning to the others. We have 3 days to prepare. I suggest we get started. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. The Thunderchild was moved to a high-security orbital dock for emergency repairs and modifications. Every available engineer and scientist was brought in to work on the quantum disruption system Elena had proposed. In engineering, Chief Engineer Marcus Parker supervised the modifications with a mixture of professional interest and personal dread. You're asking me to reverse the entire operating principle of the quantum field generator, he complained to Elena as they examined the partially disassembled device. This thing was designed to enhance signal coherence, not disrupt it. Can it be done or not, Chief? Elena asked bluntly. Parker ran a hand through his graying hair. Yes, but I can't guarantee it won't tear itself apart when activated. We're pushing experimental technology beyond its design parameters. Do your best, Elena said. That's all any of us can do right now. On the observation deck, Elena found Dr. Yamamoto staring out at Earth below, her reflection ghostly in the transparent aluminum window. Beautiful, isn't it? Elena said, joining her. I've studied quantum physics my entire career, Himari replied softly. Explored the fundamental building blocks of reality. But I never imagined my work would determine whether humanity survives its first contact with an alien species. Having second thoughts about our plan. Himari turned to face her. The theory is sound. Quantum entanglement is fragile. Introducing the right kind of interference could disrupt their network. But we're making so many assumptions about how their technology works. It's all we have, Elena said simply. That's not entirely true, Himari hesitated. There's another option we haven't discussed with the others. Elena raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. The quantum drive doesn't just move the ship through space-time. It creates localized distortions in reality itself. If we modified it to generate a quantum cascade failure, you're talking about a weapon, Elena realized. One that could theoretically disrupt their entire fleet at once, Himari confirmed, but the energy release would destroy the Thunderchild and everyone aboard. Elena was silent for a long moment. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. The final hours before launch were a flurry of preparations. Earth's remaining military vessels were positioned strategically throughout the system to serve as a diversion force. The modified quantum disruption device, now nicknamed the Chaos Engine by the crew, was installed in the Thunderchild's main laboratory. In her quarters, Elena recorded what might be her final message to her family. Her parents on Mars colony, her brother managing the Europa research station, all potentially in the path of the coming Armada if her plan failed. I don't know if this message will reach you, she said to the camera, but I want you to know that we're fighting with everything we have. Humans have always been survivors, adaptable in ways that might seem chaotic to outside observers. Today, that chaos might be our greatest strength. She paused, fighting back unexpected emotion. I love you all. Whatever happens next, know that we didn't surrender. Not ever. On the bridge, the atmosphere was tense but focused as the crew prepared for launch. Elena took her command chair, looking at each of her officers in turn. I won't lie to you, she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the bridge. Our mission is dangerous, possibly even suicidal. We're going to fly straight into the heart of an alien armada with technology far beyond our own. But we have something they don't. We understand chaos, unpredictability, the beauty of imperfection. While they think as one, we think as individuals, each bringing our own strengths to this fight. She stood, straightening her uniform. The Thunderchild may be just one ship, but today, we carry the hopes of every human being in this solar system. Are you with me? The response was immediate and unanimous. Determined nods, affirmative responses, a collective straightening of shoulders. Commander Chen, status report, Elena ordered, returning to her chair. All systems operational. Captain, Chen replied. Chaos engine at standby power. Quantum drive charged and ready. Lieutenant Santos, open a channel to command. The main view screen flickered to life, showing General Santiago's stern face. Captain Reyes, the diversion fleet is in position. Are you prepared to execute? We are, General, Elena confirmed. The Thunderchild is ready for departure. Then may whatever gods exist watch over you, Santiago said solemnly. Humanity is counting on you. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in momentary silence. Navigation, plot course to the calculated center of the swarm fleet, Elena ordered. Tactical, maintain stealth protocols until we're detected. Engineering, keep the Chaos engine powered down until we're in position. As the orders were acknowledged, Elena gazed at the main view screen where distant sensor readings showed the approaching alien Armada, a vast, organized formation of ships moving with singular purpose toward Earth. "Engage quantum drive," she commanded. "Let's bring some chaos to the swarm." The Thunderchild surged forward, its experimental drive creating ripples in space-time as it accelerated toward what could be humanity's final battle, or its greatest triumph, into the heart of darkness. The quantum drive disengaged with a subtle shudder, returning the Thunderchild to normal space at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Through the main view screen, the crew could see the swarm in all its terrifying glory. Thousands of alien vessels moving in perfect geometric patterns, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly purple-blue luminescence. "Full stealth mode," Elena ordered quietly, as if the aliens might hear her through the vacuum of space. "Passive sensors only." The Thunderchild's external lights dimmed to nothing, and its energy emissions dropped to the barest minimum required for life support. The experimental ablative stealth coating, designed to absorb rather than reflect sensor waves, rendered the ship nearly invisible against the backdrop of space. "Distance to target?" Elena asked. "Approximately 12 million kilometers to the center of the formation," Lieutenant Kowalski replied from Tactical. "Estimated travel time at stealth speed, 6 hours. Elena nodded. "Begin approach. Keep us in the shadow of larger debris when possible." As the Thunderchild crept forward, the crew watched in silent awe at the scale of the alien Armada. The main fleet was arranged in concentric spheres around what appeared to be a massive central vessel, at least 20 times larger than any human ship. "That must be their command center," Elena murmured, studying the central ship. Its design was more elaborate than the others, with intricate patterns flowing across its surface like luminescent rivers. Dr. Yamamoto joined her at the tactical display. "The energy readings from that vessel are extraordinary," she said, pointing to her datapad. "It's generating enough power to supply all of Earth's colonies combined." "Can you detect any vulnerabilities?" Elena asked. "Not from this distance," Himari replied. "But the energy flow patterns suggest their network hub is centralized within that ship. If we can get the Chaos engine close enough." Their conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Santos. "Captain, the diversion fleet has begun its attack on the outer perimeter of the swarm." The tactical display updated to show Earth's military vessels engaging the outermost sphere of alien ships. While impressive by human standards, Earth's fleet looked painfully small compared to the vast alien Armada. "They're drawing fire," Commander Chen observed, "but the swarm's response seems limited. They're only committing a small percentage of their forces to the counterattack." Elena frowned. "They must consider our ships a minor annoyance rather than a serious threat." "That arrogance might work in our favor," Chen suggested. For the next 4 hours, the Thunderchild slipped quietly through the outer layers of the alien formation. Each passing moment brought new insights into the swarm's organization. The alien vessels maintained perfect spacing between them, adjusting their positions with mathematical precision. "It's like watching a living organism," Himari whispered, fascinated despite the danger. "Each ship is like a cell in a larger body, all controlled by a central nervous system." As they penetrated deeper into the formation, the density of alien ships increased. What had started as challenging navigation became nearly impossible, requiring constant minor course corrections to avoid detection. "This is getting tight," Chief Engineer Parker muttered over the comm from engineering. "The stealth systems weren't designed for this kind of proximity. If one of those ships passes within 100 meters, they'll detect our heat signature." Elena's grip tightened on the armrests of her command chair. "Maintain course. How's the Chaos engine?" "Ready to deploy on your command," Parker replied. "But remember, once we activate it, there's no hiding anymore." 3 hours into their approach, disaster nearly struck. An alien vessel abruptly changed course, moving directly into the Thunderchild's path. There was no time to adjust course without using thrusters that would give away their position. Brace for possible impact, Elena warned as the alien ship loomed larger on the view screen. The crew held their breath as the massive vessel passed less than 50 meters above them. For a terrifying moment, the Thunderchild was bathed in the eerie glow from the alien hull. Strange patterns of light pulsed along its surface, creating an almost hypnotic effect. "They're communicating," Himari realized, staring at her sensor readings. Those light patterns, they're another form of their network communication, visual rather than quantum. When the alien ship finally moved past without detecting them, a collective sigh of relief swept through the bridge. "We need to study those light patterns," Elena decided. They might provide additional insight into how their network functions. As they continued their approach, Himari worked feverishly to analyze the recorded light patterns. 2 hours later, they had reached the inner sphere of the swarm's formation. The central command vessel now dominated the view screen, its massive structure dwarfing the Thunderchild. "Captain," Himari called out urgently, "I've discovered something from the light pattern analysis." Elena joined her at the science station. "What is it?" "The patterns aren't just communication. They're identity markers. Each ship has a unique signature that identifies its role within the collective." Himari pulled up a comparative analysis on her screen. More importantly, there are gaps in the patterns, missing pieces that suggest their network isn't as perfect as it appears. "Vulnerabilities?" Elena asked hopefully. "Not exactly," Himari replied. "More like individual variants. Despite functioning as a collective, each ship maintains some degree of uniqueness, as if the complete erasure of individuality isn't possible, even for them." Elena considered this information. So they're not a perfect hive mind after all. Interesting. Commander Chen approached with a troubled expression. "Captain, we've reached optimal deployment range for the Chaos Engine, but we have a problem. The central vessel is surrounded by some kind of energy field. Our sensors can't penetrate it, which means the engine's effect might be blocked as well." Elena studied the tactical display grimly. Getting closer would mean certain detection, but deploying the Chaos Engine from their current position might not affect the central command node. "Options?" she asked. "We could try to find a gap in their defensive perimeter," Chen suggested. Or what, Commander?" Chen hesitated. "We could use the modifications Dr. Yamamoto suggested. Turn the quantum drive into a weapon. The resulting cascade would be powerful, enough to penetrate their shields and destroy the Thunderchild in the process." Elena finished his thought. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Elena was about to respond when Lieutenant Santos interrupted. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual activity from the central vessel. It's scanning this sector." "Have we been detected?" Elena demanded. "I don't think so," Santos replied, her fingers dancing across her console. "The scan pattern seems routine, but it's much more thorough than what we've observed in the outer sectors." Elena made a quick decision. "We need more information before we commit to either option. Prepare a stealth probe with enhanced sensors. Let's get a closer look at that central vessel." Within minutes, a small probe, little more than a sensor package with minimal propulsion, was launched toward the central ship. Designed to be even stealthier than the Thunderchild itself, the probe slipped through the energy field surrounding the alien vessel. "Receiving telemetry," Himari announced, her voice rising with excitement. "The probe is through the field, getting first internal readings of the central vessel now." The data streaming back transformed their understanding of what they faced. The central ship wasn't just a larger version of the others, it was fundamentally different. Where the smaller vessels appeared mechanical despite their organic movement patterns, the central ship contained vast chambers filled with what looked like biological material. "Is that tissue?" Commander Chen asked incredulously. "Not exactly," Himari replied, studying the readings. "It's a biosynthetic matrix, part mechanical, part organic. And look at this central chamber." The probe's sensors revealed an enormous spherical room at the heart of the vessel, Within it floated what appeared to be thousands of interconnected brain-like structures, pulsing with the same rhythmic light they had observed on the ship's exteriors. "That's their central consciousness," Himari breathed. "Not artificial intelligence or even a hive mind as we understood it. It's a collective of actual minds, somehow preserved and integrated into the system." Elena stared at the images in horror and fascination. "They've sacrificed their individual bodies to become part of this network." "That would explain their message when we first encountered them," Himari said. "They called us an aberration. Our individual existence might seem chaotic and inefficient to beings who have achieved this level of integration." As they watched, the probe captured something even more disturbing: new brain-like structures being formed, integrated into the network from biological material stored in surrounding chambers. "They're growing their collective," Himari realized. "Each new world they encounter, each species they process, becomes part of them." Elena finished grimly. "That's what they meant by surrender for processing. They don't want to destroy us. They want to absorb us into their collective." The revelation hung heavy in the air. The swarm wasn't just an invading force. It was an existential threat to human individuality itself. "Captain," Santos broke the silence, "the probe has been detected. Energy readings from the central vessel are spiking." The view screen showed the probe being enveloped by a pulse of energy before its signal cut out completely. Moments later, alien vessels throughout the formation began to change course, converging on the Thunderchild's position. "They found us," Kowalski reported tensely. "Multiple vessels on intercept course. Time to contact: 3 minutes. Stealth systems are useless now," Chen stated. "Should we prepare to jump out?" Elena looked at the tactical display, watching as hundreds of alien ships moved to surround them. Even with the quantum drive, they couldn't outrun all of them. But something about the swarm's reaction caught her attention. It wasn't the perfectly coordinated response she expected. Some ships moved with hesitation, others with inappropriate speed. The formation was breaking down. "They're confused," she realized aloud. "Our probe disrupted something in their network when it sent back data about their central consciousness." Himari nodded excitedly. "The quantum signatures of our scanning technology. They must create interference patterns in their communication network." A plan began to form in Elena's mind. "Chief Parker," she called over the comm.